Season one was about finding the cure and bringing it home, and season two, in a broad sense, is about home, about America, and what does it look like, in lawlessness or chaos or government, and we kind of harken back to another era in our history when America was fractured, Civil War. As the ship heads south and goes inland and does other adventures, you sort of see another reconstruction that needs to happen. And America itself is represented by our ship and our sailors, and the cure is, okay, how do I get this cure out there? But that's really phase one, which is also hard. Manufacture it, mass produce it, distribute it, get it out there to where people need it, communicate the message that it's out there, and then also give people hope in a sense of like all is not lost, and we can still rebuild and recreate what we had before. But it's who's left of our families? Do we continue on the mission, or do we find our families and leave the ship? These guys signed up for a mission to the Arctic. They didn't sign up for saving the world. So, and then new enemies come in. So it's a lot of adventure, a lot of excitement. The same thing you had last season in terms of the ship and the sort of the action element, but much more personal too, because they're on their home turf now.
How different is it writing, knowing now that they can be on the ship, but they're not only contained there, that they can go on?
Well, on a fundamental level, it's the last ship, so we want to be a ship story, a sea story. But also, the benefit is they don't have to wear the suits anymore, and so they can do missions on land, and they do. We spent a lot of time off the ship this season as well as on the ship. But the ship gives you also a lot of mobility. You can go anywhere that you want to, and you have a helicopter as well. So it actually just freed us up to know that we could go and be sort of virus-proof, but also stick to the ship, because that's really the safest place for us right now.
If we can get the ship back.
Right, well, you're going to see a few clips later on today, if you guys are in the big room, that give you a little taste of what happens in the first few episodes as we try to figure out how to get out of the pickle that we're in. What's really cool is you have the captain and some people over here, Rachel and Alicia over here with her mom trapped, the ship taken over, Tex out in the wind, and how do they all come back together? And what's interesting is how they communicate with each other without speaking, almost telepathically. So Chandler says, if we make this move, the bad guys will make this move, moving assets from these guys. That'll give the guys in the ship more freedom to operate over there and maybe help them. On the ship, they say, I know the ship better than these guys do. So you see, by the way, top-down and bottom-up leadership. You see, a third-class petty officer making a decision that can save the ship, not just the XO making the decision, which is really cool. So they make that call. They say, if I do this to the engine room, they'll have to send bad guys to that way. We can get these guys to this room. We can get our guns. So there's a lot of fun sort of strategizing going on, both within each story and then in between. So it's a lot of fun.
Popular media, television shows, films, etc., tend to reflect the collective anxiety, unconscious, or whatever is played. Do you think your show does that? Is a reflection of current anxieties going on right now?
Well, I can't speak to the way people read it, and you're right, a lot of it is unconscious. I think when we were originally devising the idea, it was probably a lot on my mind about viruses and the new world, and how they spread so quickly, and the climate changing the way the biosphere works and all that stuff. And so then you see, of course, in real life with the MERS virus, and then of course with Ebola, you're seeing people reacting with great heroism, great cowardice, panic, fear, love, betrayal. So that kind of made us feel like, well, I guess we're on the right track.
Yes.
But I would say that during the Red Scare, a lot of alien movies came in to fill in for our fear of the unknown, or the Soviet menace. There's a lot of apocalyptic stories now, because I think the news tells us the world is crazy. And so I guess my own neuroses and Hank's, came out to the screen. But hopefully it's also entertaining.
Yeah.
Thank you guys.